Hey guys, it's Mr. Goodnight. I'm here and I'm going to try and make some beer today. It's actually a minimum 2-week process. Maybe it's going to take a month. I'll tell you a little bit about why I want to make my own beer. One, I like beer and I think it's interesting. Two, because I live right now in China, down in Shenzhen, and we don't have a lot of options when it comes to beer. Some of the beers that I like and I can find if I look really hard or drive about an hour, I can find some Hoegaarden, which is quite nice. It's a wheat beer, a Rogue beer, which is imported from the US, which is really great. Or one of my favorite beers, this is Delirium Nocturne. It's really strong. It's an 8.5%. But the other point is, not only is it difficult to find any beers like this, they're also super expensive because they're all really imported beers. What we do have over here, however, is Qingdao, which is kind of ubiquitous. No matter where you are in China, you can find this. It's not bad if it's really cold, but it doesn't have a lot of flavor. So I'm going to try and rid myself of the beer blues here and try and make some of my own. So I have some of this over here. I bought myself a Mr. Beer brewing kit, and I've got some pale ale starter kit stuff. So I'm going to look at that and try and make myself some pale ale, which will be a nice full-body beer, something a little different from a Qingdao. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. Yeah. Alright, so the first thing I need to do is sanitize my little brewing keg here. I'm going to use this spring water. Basically, here in China we've got another problem to deal with. The water out of the tap is not drinkable. It's got some bacteria in it. If you boil it out, you can drink it, but if not, don't drink it. You're getting a stomach ache and it's going to make your beer bad. So what I'm going to use is some of this spring water. Now I've already got some of, and it's supposed to be lukewarm. Use this spring water, which is really room temperature. I've got to bring it up in temperature. So what I'm going to do is mix this with some spring water that I'm actually boiling right now. So the next thing I'm going to do is add in half of this no rinse cleanser. This is just a cleaning solution. It's not harmful to eat that or drink that, so that's fine. But anyway, it's just going to kind of dissolve. Make sure there's no bacteria, any funguses, any other yeast strains living in here from just from the air. So I'm going to put half of it in here. I'm going to try and measure that off. Okay, that's about half. And then put on the top and just kind of rinse it. Finally, I'm going to put a little bit on this plate, which I'm going to use later for some other things, just to clean some utensils. So I want this plate to be sanitized as well. You could use a bowl or whatever. So finally I got that good to go. I'm going to put some other things I use, which is I'm going to use this measuring cup. They don't sell measuring cups in China because people don't bake. But anyway, I've got some markings on the side here, so I'm good to go with my ounces there, which I'll use this later. And then also I've got to put my can opener in there. I'm going to use this to open up my yeast and malt extract. Really, it's just the malt extract, actually. Put that in there and then let that sit for 10 minutes. So, alright, 10 minutes has passed. We're going to take the stuff that I put in here. It should be nice and clean now. Take it out. This is actually the first step, actually brewing everything else before this was cleaning. So now I'm going to take 4 quarts of water. This is just room temperature spring water. And putting it in here up to 4 quarts. Okay, next thing I'm going to do, take this hopped malt extract, start warming that up in some hot water I've got here. So I'm just going to kind of fill that up there. Once that's just going to help it pour out nice and smoothly once it's nice and warm. Okay, so I told you I'm working with weird equipment here. I don't have a measuring cup. I need to put 3 cups of water in here. This water bottle, which I just sanitized, has a scale. I know that a cup of water is about 8 ounces or 250 milliliters. Okay, actually I need to put 1 more cup of water for a total of 4 cups. And there she is, right about there. Okay, so I've got my spoon, which I'm going to use for stirring, which has been sanitized. I'm going to open up this booster, which really is just some sort of sugars, which are going to help create more alcohol and flavor for the beer. So this is going to go in. I'm just going to do it slowly. I kind of stir it as I go so that it doesn't clump up. Alright, that booster is pretty much dissolved in there now. You can see it's almost all the way gone. So it's the last little clump in there that's left. So now we got to bring that up to a boil. Finally, by the way, that booster is just sugars, really. Those sugars are going to be what the yeast eats to create the alcohol and also the flavor of the beer. Alright, so our booster is just coming to a boil now, so we can check that out. Got that on high heat. Once we bring that to a boil, we're going to take it off and then add in. So it's just coming to a boil now, that's fine. It smells a little bit like sugar water because basically that's what it is. So I'm going to take that off. Next thing, we're going to put in this pale ale hop malt extract. So let me go ahead and get my can opener and pop this one open. Kind of syrupy, that goes in. Looks almost and smells almost like molasses, so that's going to be our kind of going to be the basis of our beer right there. Alright, so I'm just using my sanitized spoon here as the rest of this hot malt extract drops down in there. Just mixing it up. So this is a pretty sweet smelling mixture right now. When the yeast gets in there, it's going to eat up a lot of those sugars, turn it into alcohol, and the thing's going to become more bitter, like a beer is supposed to. Okay, so basically this is called wort at this point, W-O-R-T. No, not like the thing on your foot. It's just the name that is given to beer before it's actually beer. So let me put my spoon down. That's pretty hot, actually. And I'm going to slowly and carefully pull that in. Pour that into the keg. So stay out of my way here. It's pretty hot. Go. Made a little bit of a mess. Maybe you can do better. Because that's going to be a sticky little mess now. So we're going to have to bring that up to 8.5. So let me add some more water. So I'm not done yet. Still need to stir and add the yeast. So let me go ahead and stir it more. Why am I stirring? I'm stirring to get the cold water to mix with the hot water, to mix with the wort. So finally this whole thing is still wort. It's just a less condensed wort. You know, it's been diluted. Okay, so now I've got this brewing yeast. Yeast is really going to eat that up and turn that sugary wort into alcohol. And whoops, don't lose it. Just kind of sprinkle it in. You know, the cool thing about yeast is it's actually going to, you know, it's a living organism, which is pretty amazing. So that's actually going to eat into what's in there. Actually kind of smells like bread now that I've mixed this in, like a sweet bread. That yeast, you know, has a lot to do with what makes bread rise. So important for baking, important for cooking, right? Important for beer. So good stuff, yeast. So we're going to let that wait for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to stir it up. Okay, so the last thing now that we've waited 5 minutes to let the yeast kind of spread out inside our wort is to mix it up nice and vigorously, which is what I'm going to do here. Try and be a little bit more careful if you're pouring your yeast in, because my mistake, I got the whole top of this thing sticky and kind of burnt myself because even that pot was really hot. Even though it had rubber grips, it went right through there and burned my hands. So just stir this up. This is really kind of activating the yeast, getting it really excited, and it's just going to start eating up all that sugar and start fermenting. The next part is waiting. Going to get some fermentation going. Boom. So this guy, we're going to wait about 7 days to 14 days. Generally, the longer you wait, the better your beer. So I'm going to wait a little longer on this one. Probably going to do about 14 days. And it's going to be nice and fermented. All right.